Let me read this quote from Tobias, though. He said, casual Sixers fans, they'll trade me for a Crumbl Cookie. Disrespectful. At the end of the day, they have to realize they're not getting a 6'9" forward who can shoot damn near 40% from three, guard the other team's best player, shoot, post up, and drive. And then the last point he made was that he also is going to give you 70-plus games per year. What are your thoughts on Tobias Harris, Antoine? Do you think the Sixers should keep him?
A Crumbl Cookie is nuts, though.
I actually had Crumbl last night, by the way.
When he starts making comments like that, I don't know if he should keep him because obviously internally we know who he's referring to about games played. Mm-hmm. You can't be talking about the MVP like that. So that's first of all. So that's the first way to get your way out the door. And then I just think it's the fit right. I mean, is this the right fit for him? I like Tobias Harris. I think he's a guy can play the 3 and the 4. Like he said, he can shoot the 3. Mm-hmm. He can make some plays off the dribble. So I do like him. So he'll help any team, especially a team with a true center. So he's a good fit for Embiid. But obviously, it's something probably going on internally within the locker room, and stuff is starting to come out. It's funny how when the head coach gets fired, everything starts to come out. So when you see Doc going now, you see guys now talking about their roles, and you never know. You know, usually when a coach takes over, we don't know what Nick Nurse has said to him coming in, what his role is going to be. Usually when a coach takes over, he calls all the guys individually and talks to them about what their role will be on the team. So maybe it's something. Maybe he didn't hear what he wanted to hear.
Yeah. Ashley, what's your thoughts on Tobias Harris being the second highest paid player on the Sixers?
He's overpaid, respectfully. Looking at his stats, I believe these are from last season.
Mm-hmm. I think I got his points per game.
He averaged less than 15.
So he averaged 14 points per game in the regular season, 5 rebounds. Then come postseason, it bumped it up 1 point, 15.3 points per game, 7
15
rebounds.
points in the regular, 14 points in the regular season and 15 points in the playoffs for a player who's making $40 million is unacceptable. Yeah. Let's be honest, it's unacceptable. Yeah. And
no, I'm not even. He's just a free agent at the right time.
That's what, no, but no. I'm not. Listen, whoever his agent is, whoever's in his team, did their job. But I'm saying in terms of money and return, it's unacceptable. Also, I'll say this: it's not even the stats don't even give the full story because you have 14 points in the regular season, 15 points in the postseason, but they're empty points. And what I mean by that is that they don't really affect the game. You're getting points, but they're not really at the times that you need them. You go missing at the times that the 76ers need you more often than you're present. So you have a stat line of 15 points averaged in the postseason, but it's an empty stat line essentially. So he's overpaid for what he contributes to the team. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Antoine. Like, you can say a lot, but you can't say anything about Joel Embiid if that's what you were trying to imply. Yeah. But first of all, a Crumbl Cookie is crazy because they come in a box. So if you're only worth one, that's something to look at. But
Crumbl is fire, by the way.
It is fire, but cookie, not the whole box. That's kind of nuts. You know what I mean?
Also, too, I just want to add this: what people got to understand, and I'm glad you put the stats out there. He is the 4th option on his team.
That's what I was saying.
So we have to give
a $40 million 4th option.
I know, but that's why I said it's always great to be a free agent at the right time. Yeah. So he got paid at a time where he was sought out there. It was a low free agent market, and he got paid. But for that team, he is the 4th option. You got to think you got Harden, you got Maxey, you got Embiid. So he is the 4th option. So you're getting 15 points from your 4th option. That's not bad.
Yeah.
But you're not the 4th option when Joel Embiid goes down. Now you're up to 3rd. You're not the 4th option when James Harden's inconsistent. Now you're up to 3rd. My thing about it is you being the 4th option doesn't negate you of responsibilities, especially when the team's at a deficit for one reason or another. He goes missing in games. He is a non-factor in games. Mm-hmm. He is not even a factor in a game. He's not even a factor in a game more times than he's not. I could make that argument that, okay, he goes missing in some games, but 9 times out of 10, he's present. He's not. So I'm not saying that he is at fault for what he's getting paid, but I can understand the frustration of you have a $40 million 4th option who disappears when you probably need him the most. Mm-hmm. That's why Jimmy Butler famously said, Tobias Harris over me. Like, it's an insane contract for a player you cannot depend on. And I'm not saying you put the same amount of responsibility on him as you do a Joel Embiid or a James Harden. Maybe they have to do a better job of getting him the ball, but maybe they don't get him the ball because they can't depend on him. That's another argument you can make. You can always try to go ahead and scapegoat the scheme and the plays that are run and say, oh, he doesn't get the ball. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't get the ball because he never does anything with it.
I mean, do you think that's the case, Antoine? Because in his defense,
I nobody's afraid of him. Yeah, defensively. Offensively.
I don't know. I say in his defense, I feel like he just plays on a team with very ball dominant players, James Harden, Joel Embiid. So at the end of the game, yeah, they want the ball in his hands. What I'm thinking, though, Antoine, which is why I think maybe the 76ers are in a tough position, is because one, they paying him a lot, right? They're paying him $40 million per year. But I also think he's somebody that you put him on another team. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think he shows his worth. I think he'll be capable,
but not on this
a lot more of what he puts on on paper.
For sure. Maybe he needs to be a second option. Maybe he's someone who needs to have the ball in his hand more.
But I also think, because what reports are saying is that the 76ers asking price for what they want in return for Tobias Harris is crazy.
No, it's insane.
Yeah, and it's because of how much they pay him. So I just think in my opinion, they need to make the most of what Tobias Harris brings to the table. What do you think, Antoine?
I like Tobias Harris with them because, I mean, it's hard to find. I think we get caught up sometimes as people that's outside. We get caught up in what a guy's making. And when, so I don't take away from his ability, his agent, being a free agent at the right time, he was able to get, a big deal. So you got to take that out the equation. On this team, he is going to be the fourth option regardless. Just look at he's not going to get the ball. Any coach is not drawing up something before those three other guys. It's just not going to happen. So it doesn't matter about his pay, and I think that's what people look at and address first. Is he's making $40 million, so his production should be XXX. No, it's the role that he plays in this team. He does a terrific job, I think, in his role. If they want to expand that and put more onus on him, maybe guarding the best player on the other team or doing some other things, then that's fine. But I think he's fine. I think it's just don't discredit a guy for being able to, in the free agent market, when it was time to be a free agent, he was able to get super max money. You know what I mean? So you can't expect that type of production. But I think he's been great for them. And it's hard to find guys around Harden and Embiid that could be effective and still produce. And he's done a good job of doing that. 15 points a game with those guys, two ball dominant guys, is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You would call him an effective player?
Yeah, like Antoine saying, 15 points a game and you're the fourth option?
It's tough.
It's some third options.
James Harden.
I gotta look at you all keep talking. I gotta look at his actual points in series because 15 points per game is an average. It doesn't really tell the whole story. But I'm listening. Go ahead.
Let me help you out. Let me give you an example. So when I played for the Heat, Shaq and D Wade were the main focal points on the offensive end. When I got traded and signed as a free agent there, I was averaging 20 points a game in my career. I was no way I'm going to average 20 points a game when I went to play with Shaq and D Wade, where everything is going through them. So I had to figure out, if I'm going to touch this ball 10, 12 times a game, I got to be efficient. I got to try to make these opportunities count. So it's tough when you're playing with two other superstars and trying to still get your numbers. It's tough to do that. So I think Tobias Harris has done a terrific job of doing that. James Harden, we know, can hold the ball for the whole shot clock.
That's what I'm saying.
No Embiid has to touch it.
Yeah, and then let's not talk about Maxey. It's that's not to mention Maxey too, who's kind of he's turning into that type of player that needs.
By the way, Maxey's due for a contract.
Let's not look at averages though, and let's not because the average doesn't tell the whole story sometimes. All right, let's talk about the game that they lost against Boston, 102-114. He had 7 points, a minus 18 on the plus and minus, okay? In the game that they won against Boston, he had 9 points, a non-factor, okay? A non-factor in a win, all right? In the game that they won against Boston, 115-103, I believe that he had a better game. He had 16 points because I believe that was the game that James Harden went missing, if I can recall correctly. In the game they lost against Boston, he had 2 points. You have a $40 million fourth option giving you 2 points in the playoffs, and I'm supposed to believe that he's an effective player? Come on now.
Can you go back to that last game?
It is crazy. He played 42 minutes that game.
He played 42 minutes and gave me 2 points as a $40 million player. Fourth. I don't care if he was the 25th option. He
did 7 shots.
It was set, so he
7 shots.
Made 1 and he took a 3.
So
on a 42-minute game, you gave me 2 points. Those 2 points probably came from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Like, be for real. That's not. We can't keep I'm not saying that he's at fault for what he got in the free market. Get your money. If you can finesse the system and don't let it finesse you, I'm here for it. But this whole he's productive and no, it's not. It's absolutely not the case. 2 points in 40+ minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're on the court for almost the entire game. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. I can't give him that. I
hate to say this, but he had a great series against Brooklyn. He had 21 points, 20 points. 15,
I could have had a great
25.
series against Brooklyn.
Oh, come on.
Be for real.
Come on, Ashley. You know you're taking that.
I don't know. I'm not giving up on Tobias Harris just yet. Like I'm with Antoine.
Listen, he's a good piece to the puzzle.
That's what I say.
The numbers speak for itself. I'm not going to sit here and dispute the numbers and say that he didn't produce when he had to. But I think he's a very good piece to the puzzle. I like him as a 4th option. I don't think too many teams in this league would not take him as a 4th option. He's a guy that can play multiple positions. He's not going to hurt you. It just depends what role you want to give him. We can't talk about this. Sometimes you can't get mad because he was able to, like you said, finesse the system as a free agent and get max money, and he's not in that position to put up max numbers. But 15 points a game with those 2 guys who are very ball dominant, James Harden and Embiid, is pretty good.
Yeah. I called Tobias Harris an upper echelon role player. Could you co-sign that, Antoine? An upper echelon role player? I think he's an
upper echelon role player.
Yeah. Like,
did you not hear the numbers I just gave you?
He's an. Did you hear the numbers we gave you during the regular season?
But what I'm saying is first of all, the regular season, when it comes to the playoffs, the regular season doesn't matter. And when we talk about averages, they don't always tell the full story. You actually have to dive deep into game by game scenarios and see how effective somebody is.
Matchups against
14 points in the regular season is an upper echelon role player to you?
Yeah.
How many of those points are at the line?
No, he's not a guy that's just drawing fouls.
But I'm saying, but you have to dive in and actually look at the numbers and how many were at the line, how many were in the open court. It's not 14 points per game on average can be manipulated a variety of different ways. How effective were you in changing the course of the game? And more times than not, he is a non-factor.
But actually, I do want to point out, in 74 games, he only made less than 10 points 15 times. I just did a general count.
Okay.
No. What's he shooting from the field? I think that's a testament to like his efficiency.
What's his efficiency?
And then but let me ask something. Are we judging him off his contract or just basketball?
No, I don't care. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm throwing the $40 million in there just to say that he's getting paid a lot, but I'm not knocking him for getting that contract. I'm simply saying, based on the quote that he gave, you would think he was a lot more effective in the course of a game, in the course of a season, in the course of a series than he actually is. I'm not going to knock somebody for ever getting their money and finessing the system. I'm here for it. But let's not go ahead and make it seem like you're the second coming of Jesus Shuttlesworth and you're out here really changing the course of the game. You're not. You're inconsistent and sometimes, most of the time, half the time, a non-factor. And that's really what it comes down to for me.
Yikes. Hey,
that's fair.
Ashley's not going to take it easy on you, boy. She is not going to take it easy on you.
Well, now, look, I want to talk the 76ers now, though, right? Because, I mean, the latest reports are also saying, too, that there's still a strong possibility that James Harden returns to Houston. So I can imagine at this point it's either, the 76ers re-sign James Harden or, they look to potentially maybe sign and trade him, right, and get something in return. But if you're the 76ers right now, Antoine, are you committing to Tobias Harris and James Harden? Because what this essentially do is kind of put you in a luxury tax. We know what that does and whatnot. But, like, it'd be a big commitment to commit to all of those guys that are basically were all on the team last year. I feel like you would be doubling down to chase just another championship. Do you think they should commit to both of those two?
It's tough. I think what Philly has to, can you get over the hump with James Harden? I think you have to, he's the guy, can he be the guy to get you over the hump? Mm-hmm. That's a conversation I'm having with my MVP, Embiid. Does he feel like that's a great running mate for him? I want to have that conversation with him, first of all. And if he feels like Harden is the guy with him and he trusts Harden, then I'm going to go with him. My thing is this. We saw Harden in Houston, and when he was the man, he couldn't get past Golden State. They put a team around him. Now we're watching him now in Philly with Embiid, and now they seem like they can't get to the finals. So it just depends. It's nothing against him. Harden's a great talent, a great player, but he coming up on a situation now. Are you going to pay him for 3 more years, 3 or 4 more years, at a big number, at 30 plus a year, and you don't get over the hump? So it's a major decision to make. I just go with the track record, and if I feel like I'm not better than the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, I have to make a move.
Yeah.
That's what Philly has to do. They have to decide: can we beat the Boston Celtics? Can we beat the Milwaukee Bucks in a 7-game series with the way our roster is already put together? Because you ain't gonna have much wiggle room with all these guys. You got to think about. You got 3 guys. I think Tobias Harris making big money, Embiid's making big money, Harden's making big money. So who are you going to be able to add to this team? Maxey's coming up on a deal. You got to take care of him.
Yeah.
So can this group get over the hump? That's the decision that they have to make with Nick Nurse. Can I get this group over the hump?
Yeah.
And I don't know that. That's something that they have to look and know if they're going to be able to do that. Harden ain't getting any younger. He's getting older now. This is a guy who's a one-on-one player. Does he fit the system and style that Nick Nurse wants to play? All those things factor when you're moving forward, because this is a different coach. It's not going to just come and run the same system that Doc Rivers ran. He's going to run a totally different system.
Right.
Does he fit well into your system? So all that stuff would be an interesting thing. But it's big numbers, though. Harden has put up numbers. He's going to demand a big salary. Depends if they feel like they can get over the hump with him and get to the championship.